The original Star Ocean 2 that came out in 1998 is widely considered to be one of the best games in its respective series. I've only played Star Ocean 4, The Last Hope, back when I was still in high school. It had to have been around 2015-2016, and although it was quite a bit ago when I played a game from this series, I remembered it being pretty fun. On the contrary, it had some presentational and mechanical issues that I didn't like.
Reward cookie.
A cat?
Give me back that cookie. That's my doggy's treat, hey?
But overall, it was a good enough impression to where I was intrigued and wanted more of that galactic and fantasy setting combination. Skip to June 2023, I remember seeing the reveal for Second Story R, a remake of that very same game in '98. It was supposed to have updated visuals, an updated combat system, and some quality of life features. I just knew I had to get my hands on it. It may be my only chance to experience this classic. Star Ocean The Second Story R was released on November 2nd, 2023. I bought it in the beginning of December, and I can confidently say that this game has a lot of soul and passion put into it, and it makes it one of the best games of its kind. This is Star Ocean The Second Story R. Hey, my name is Billy and welcome to my review and thoughts of the Second Story R. I want to share my thoughts about the game as I did a recent playthrough in December 2023. However, I don't see too many posts on YouTube about this game, and I think it's a shame because it's such a radiant gem and I just wanted to shine some more light on it before 2023 ended. Before we start, if you end up liking this video, please remember to subscribe and hit that thumbs up to show some love, as I love making these. Also, feel free to leave a comment of your opinion down below. I'm curious what you guys think as well. This is your only spoiler warning, but I'll try to keep it as clean as possible. But let's talk about the overall plot. Star Ocean The Second Story R allows you to choose two main protagonists, Claude C and Rena Lanford. For my playthrough and what I'll be talking about, I chose Claude, which is supposed to blend that space and fantasy setting a bit more. You play as the son of Admiral Ronix J. Kennedy of the Pan-Galactic Federation. The team lands on an unknown planet for an expedition, but later finds a weird device. Upon checking it out, it activates and warps Claude away from the Federation, alone into an unknown forest. You wake up and find a girl by the name of Rena, who tells you about this place and herself, and it's later revealed that this place is called Expel, and who knows how far you really are away from home. You eventually learn a bit about her too, how she doesn't truly know about her origins, how she's adopted, and how she's always wondered who her real parents were. She's actually a unique case because she can use healing symbology, or magic in other terms, when it shouldn't be possible. Expel is a land with increasing mysteries and creatures roaming around due to an impact by a meteor of sorts called the Sorcery Globe. Ever since that impact, there has been chaos and concern because of the overwhelming amount of monsters. Claude, as a sort of alien to the planet, is portrayed as the hero of light, a prophecy that mentions a valiant and courageous individual who becomes the savior of Expel, depicted in strange clothing and additionally comes from another planet. Yep, I think that checks all the boxes. Regardless if we are or we aren't, the Sorcery Globe seems to be the only other entity foreign on this planet. Our objective now is to seek out the Sorcery Globe in hopes that it can return us home. Rena also decides to tag along so she could get the opportunity to find out more about herself. This brings you to a multitude of towns to run into other characters and decide if you want them to be a part of our little gang to then aid us on our journey to the Sorcery Globe. That is the main bulk of the story itself, and there are a lot of twists and turns that happen along the way that my jaw pretty much just dropped. For example, later on, when you get close to the Sorcery Globe, it basically just becomes all-out war because of how many monsters are being produced by the globe. Or when you think that you get to the climax of all the action, the game 360s you only to reveal an entirely different region you have to explore, and the consequences that come along with it. The stakes are high in Second Story R. Now, I won't reveal too much, and I know it's not a new story or anything like that, but this is something you need to understand and experience by playing. It is the embodiment of watching and playing a thriller, and it keeps getting better as there are other powers behind everything that is happening to Expel. It just so happens your mission intertwines with everyone's fate, your goal to get home, and the protection of your newly made friends. This also highlights Claude's and Rena's journey together. The cutscenes you watch really invoke the emotions they are feeling at the moment, and the overall synergy between those two are strong due to that new and undiscovered bond that we watch and grow into something more sentimental. They are both young adults and teenagers trying to fight and discover themselves. Claude struggles with these insecurities of expectations for being the son of an admiral. On the other hand, Rena obsesses with learning her origins, and alongside this is building trust with awkward conversations, yet strong and impactful interactions with each other, making the story flourish. And on top of a pretty good story, the cast shines above all. There are so many characters you'll be meeting over your adventure. There are big standouts like the awesome and comedic Ashton, like bro, this dude has dragons embedded in him.
My name is Ashton, warrior of the twin dragons.
The badass
Diaz, I don't think you're in any shape to talk like that to me.
And the sweet talker,
Name is
Priestess.
Priestess F. Newman. Glad to meet you.
In general, there are a lot of quirky yet lovable characters all around. Celine, the hot mommy mage who loves to treasure hunt, the daddy hunk pharmacist Bowman, or even the klutz news reporter Chisato.
Ow!
And I can keep going. On the opposite spectrum, there are characters I didn't like. For example, Leon is an annoying baby back little punk of a character based off first impressions. There's also just some characters I don't care about, like Noelle. However, just because I didn't like a couple characters doesn't mean that you won't. That's the beauty in them. The way these characters can play off each other are pretty amazing and entertaining. In fact, there is just the right amount of diversity in the NPCs and recruitable party members to make it super entertaining. And I didn't even mention the private actions. It's a system where you can check the map for any new interactions instead of wandering the world aimlessly, which usually includes yourself and another or a different pair of characters. This game makes it super easy to just go and have fun. But however good the characters are,
If it's not fun, why bother?
and let me tell you the gameplay loop. You go from town to town, you fight monsters, you do the story quest to meet the townsfolk, which eventually leads you to some sort of dungeon. You do the dungeon, you fight the boss, rinse and repeat. And littered in between are the mechanical systems of item creation and stat, item, and skill management. Now the whole item creation system, also known as IC, is where you'll be doing a lot of the fine tinkering and tuning for your characters and skills. This is a role-playing game after all, and at the end of the day, the second story feels like it was ahead of its time. With IC, you are basically able to do everything you have ever wanted. You'll be investing the points you earn from battles and such to improve your character stats and to improve your proficiency in item creation skills. This then allows the party members to do things like craft new weapons and armors, pickpocket, herbology for better healing items, engineering, robotics, etc. By having multiple skills throughout multiple party members, you can unlock group specialties that can affect the overall party. That can range from earning more money or experience, less or more enemy encounters, even changing the rates of earning battle points and skill points, all on the whim, and those options are changeable. Honestly, I am only scratching the surface. To an extent, it's a slight issue for me. Hear me out for this one. There is one group specialty called Bunny Call. Every time you use it, you have a chance to ride a bunny. Firstly, it runs super fast. Secondly, it can scale pools of water, mountains, basically anything vertical or places you couldn't get to before. It's super funny, super cute, but also like, why? Depending how much you invest into your ICs for this, the percentage of bunny call can fail until it does work. But also with all the quality of life improvements that they decided to add, why not just make it a permanent mount without random chance? Additionally, why is there just no run button period? Some maps are pretty big for what it is, and you can't call bunny for everything. And to be honest, I am nitpicking just a little bit at the core mechanics, but what I'm trying to convey is that I wish that other quality of life changes were made to traversing, and that the IC mechanic can be a little overwhelming. The thing is, you have so many options, and if you don't actively engage with these IC systems, the game can be quite confusing or hard because of it. The game really wants you to use the system, and it even shows it as a hint when you die on the main screen. Yes, you'll be in the menus a lot doing this, and for me, it was a little exhausting towards the end, on top of managing your combat skills, weapons, tactics, specific character talents, and materials. I think you get the point. I love what this game is trying to do, and it's super versatile. I enjoyed it for the most part, and don't get me wrong, I don't hate it, but for me, it could have used a bit of streamlining. Now after all that, all the IC stat adjustments, weapon customization, the fruits of your labor bear witness to one of the best combat systems of its kind. Every time you encounter an enemy, you get put into this action-styled arena. The game plays similar to any of the Tales series, like Tales of Vesperia or Tales of Symphonia. It's not exactly fully free-flowing action combat. You can't dodge out of attacks immediately or animation cancel, but I don't think it needs to. Those games are much more focused on doing skills to combo your enemies, much more in tune with a fighting game. I feel like Star Ocean Second Story R is the real-time interpretation of a turn-based battle system mixed in with a real-time action combat. All of your actions are basically set in stone once it's pressed, and if you miss, the enemy usually just punishes you. However, if you are a bit patient, you are able to dodge when openings are presented, but of course while not being hit or attacking, giving you your MP back to continue your chain of combos. Your goal is really to break your enemy's guard by using skills that either affect their HP or their shield gauge more. And finally, when you break that shield, it is one of the most satisfying things ever. The combat might feel a little bit simplistic at first, but before you know it, you'll start chaining skills together. You'll start having more assault actions. You'll start having a lot of different tactics, and it's really fun, and definitely the highlight of the game. Now, my favorite thing to talk about, the music. This might be the first game where I don't talk 100% positive about the music, and it's not that it's bad or anything like that. It more falls in lines of mysticism and ambiance rather than music that I would go back to listen to on my own. For what you are doing in the game, it creates a grand scope, a grand adventure, something in lines of an epic. But even the lighthearted tunes, I wouldn't go back and listen to on my own, and it's very much a little repetitive for me. But the standouts would be the Field of Expel, the Venerable Forest. Of course, the battle theme is a banger, but it's just the vibe I'm getting from the overall music and scope. It's supposed to be accompanied by the game. When I'm playing the game, it's awesome, but I wouldn't listen to it outside of my own time. And the last thing I just want to talk about is the art style and graphics. Obviously, it's not like God of War level fidelity, and it's not trying to be realistic or anything like that. It's using HD 2D sprites, and it incorporates it in this 3D environment, which is a little bizarre, but I think it works. Honestly, it looks phenomenal. I think it has its own distinct character, and it's quite a signature look. But I am a little bit in favor of the Octopath Traveler art style a little bit more. I think it genuinely blends the HD 2D vibe a lot better. If I were to point one thing about this game, it would be lighting on top of the 2D sprites and the environment, while Octopath Traveler probably does more or less with colors, hues, saturation, and in my opinion, it's just a little bit more satisfying to look at. I mean, to each their own, but this remake looks fantastic nonetheless. And I think that's all I wanted to cover. If you guys stick to the end, something you should know about me is that I do want to talk about the pros and the cons of the game, whether it is an S or an F tier game even. And with Star Ocean the Second Story R, there are a lot of pros, a lot of highs. The item creation system is a great way to customize your character the way you want to and do different builds, and for sequential playthroughs, it can give a different vibe each time. However, just maybe a little bit daunting if you don't dive into it constantly. I didn't even mention this, but for each character, their campaigns are only about like 20-25 hours, and that's a lot of replayability when you include the ICs and everything encompassed, and obviously the different route specific things that you find. The overall game is super good, super fun, and the combat is fantastic. I will gripe again, the music is super good, but I just wish it was a little bit catchier. The world is fantastic, the exploration is super fun, the characters are a joy to interact with. This may be the best remake that I have had the pleasure of playing. I implore you guys to give this game a try. If I were to rank Star Ocean the Second Story R, this game would receive an A-. And I think that's the end of this video. If you're still here, thank you everyone for sticking until the end. Again, if you like this video, give this boy a thumbs up. And if you have any questions or feel like I missed anything, feel free to leave a comment down below. And lastly, don't forget to hit that red subscribe button to stay a little bit longer. I hope everyone has a happy holidays and a happy new year. We're coming to a close, 2023. It went by so fast, and I'm hoping to make next year great as well. Again, thank you for sticking till the end, and I will see you in the next one. Peace!